Hi, everybody. I'm Ross the Boss coming from you live from La La Land. I'm here with the best co-host in sports. His name is Casey. Flats the boat. Shinefold. Casey, what's up, my man?
It's good to be back. I missed you guys last week. I was away with the family, and I kind of
Where did you go? You're
well,
out these extravagant vacations. I mean, your vacations are unbelievable. I mean, you're the best places in the world. Where were you?
I don't travel the same way Dan does, but as you know, my family are big soccer fans, so we went down to DC to watch the MLS All-Stars play Arsenal from the Premier League. So my kids are big into soccer. The Premier League.
Who won the game?
Arsenal crushed them. It was 5-0. It wasn't even close.
Oh,
it just shows you that soccer in the United States has a bit of a ways to catch up before they can.
And did Arsenal even play their best players, or did
they played a lot of their best players, but you could tell they were going at 70% because they're in their off season right now, so they're not
right. I knew that
playing hard. So
and MSL, and let me tell you something: those guys are young. I mean, those guys are in their teens. They're hungry, and a couple years from now, those guys are going to be good. And let's talk a little soccer real quick. What's your whole take on Messier in Florida? I watched that opening game. He came out. I mean, he couldn't write a better script. He scored the game-winning goal.
It was crazy.
I mean, they played a tough team too. And I was looking at Miami's roster. They have guys in their 18, 19 years old starting on that team. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, Inter Miami. I mean, David Beckham is a genius. He's the owner of Inter Miami. For those of you who don't know, superstar soccer player back in the early 2000s.
Bend it
like Beckham. Yeah, he signed. He was kind of the first super name to come over to the MLS back in 2007, and the LA Galaxy at the time offered him $50 million a year to come over. And in his contract was a promise, was the ability to buy a team after he retired in the MLS for $25 million. So he did. He bought Inter Miami. Prior to the signing of Messi, it was worth $400 million. Now it's up to close to $1 billion.
Wow.
I mean, and it's nuts. They were the worst team in the MLS, I think, by far. And then they win the first game with Messi hitting that PK and that set piece in stoppage time. It's crazy. And now they're trying to build, for those of you who follow soccer, Barcelona's team from 2014, because they got Busquets on there, Jordi Alba. They just signed Iniesta. All these guys from in their mid to late 30s from that fantastic team. So we'll see. It'll be fun to watch. I don't know if it'll make a difference this year, but Messi he's the best there's ever been, or at least certainly the best.
He's definitely on the. Yeah, I mean, he just got back winning the World Cup, which is unbelievable.
Yeah, he's on Mount
Rushmore now. And my favorite thing about Messi is he was walking around the supermarket in Miami.
There people snapped of him grocery
shopping.
Loved it.
I loved it with his kids. I loved it. And we'll get away from soccer. We'll talk baseball. We know you guys are mad. Hey, Uncle Ted, what's up, my man?
To you? He has a question for you. Spence or Crawford?
I like Crawford. I like Bud Crawford. I've been saying this. This fight should have happened 5 years ago. Casey, this fight's on Saturday night. It's probably the biggest fight we've had in a couple years.
Yeah.
It's so hard to get these two boxers together just because they're different promoters, and it's so many different stuff you have to go through now to get matches done. But I'm happy they're fighting. I'll be watching. Don't worry, Uncle Ted. But I'm betting my money's on Crawford. Bud Crawford's going to go decision. Crawford, he'll outbox him. What do you?
I'm not a boxing guy. I don't know.
I'm an analyst. I love boxing. Love it.
I know you do.
Love it.
Uncle Ted calls it the fight of the century.
Well, that's 5 years ago. Yes, Uncle Ted. 5 years ago. Now, I'm angry, Uncle Ted. I'm angry. This fight hasn't happened sooner. Don't get me started. I swear I can do a whole show on it.
Although he says Dallas, baby, Spence is going to work Crawford.
Ooh, okay. We'll say gentleman's bet, me, Uncle Ted. Let's talk baseball. I was looking at the standings, Casey Shinefold. Guess how many games the Mets are out of first place? It's not even August yet. Guess how many games?
Isn't it 18? I think I
18
checked
and a half. You're 100% right. It's unbelievable. The Mets are 18 and a half out, and they have these two high-priced pitchers in Verlander and Max Scherzer, and they can't get rid of these guys. They're making millions of dollars. There's no way they can get rid of these salaries. So I don't know what they're going to do with that. I mean, 18 and a half games. At least your Yankees are above 500, and I know you guys are in the cellar right now, but it doesn't. You're still in the mix. I mean, still in the mix. But I mean, you guys have had horrible injuries. It's been like a. I mean, all your key players have been hurt, so it's been horrible for you there.
Oh, Uncle Ted thinks Justin Verlander, the Rangers are going to pull the trigger and take him.
Let's talk about that right now. I have some players. I want to ask your opinion. Where do you think they're going? What's going to happen to them? Do you think they'll be traded? Do you think they'll stay? Where do you think they'll go? The first big name, it's the biggest name in baseball right now, maybe even sports, is Ohtani. Ohtani, now the rumor is Casey Scheinfeld, Baltimore.
I said that one. Baltimore and Tampa were my two choices.
And you're one of your main guys that you like, that you've been ranting and raving about ever since the season started, is on the trade block supposedly for Ohtani. Wahlberg.
Jordan Westburg. Jordan Westburg and Heston Kjerstad is another really good minor league outfielder that they would probably have to put in there.
The probability, too. I think it looks good. I think he'll be traded. What do you think, Casey?
If he's not going to re-sign with Anaheim, which I think the writing's
there's no way
that he's
no way Artie Moreno's good. He's the owner. He's going to sign this guy for $700
million. So if you're not going to sign him, get whatever you can for him. I mean, could you imagine how bad it looks to have the best baseball player on the planet and the other best baseball player on the planet and never get either of them to the World Series, and this guy's going to walk and you're going to get nothing for him when he's the best two-way player, including Babe Ruth, by the way, I think.
So where do you think he's going?
I think if he goes, I could see either the Rangers pulling that trigger, honestly, or the Orioles. I've always been saying the Orioles and the Rays, but I do think at the end of the day, the Rays are going to be too budget conscious and not give away the farm for a rental player.
Okay, let's talk third baseman. Let's talk St. Louis. They already said they're clearing house. That anybody on the team you can grab, except probably Jordan Walker, if I had to guess. Nolan Arenado, who's a third baseman for them. He's 22 home runs, 77 RBIs, 290 average, not too bad. Those are Casey Scheinfeld numbers that he would actually look at.
I could swing with those.
Yeah. Where do you think? Do you think he'll leave St. Louis, or did he'll stay? I mean, he's another guy that has $141 million left on his contract. So
honestly, if they weren't in the same division, I would say the Brewers, because the Brewers just took the lead by a half game or something over your Reds in the Central, and they're missing an impact bat. And Arenado on the Brewers would be scary in Miller Park. Like, he would totally give them, if Burns and Woodruff were pitching well, and you got Devin Williams at the back of that bullpen, if they could bolster that lineup with somebody like Arenado, I think that would be insane.
And then let's stay with St. Louis. The theme is St. Louis right now because it's a fire sale in St. Louis. Paul Goldschmidt. The rumor now is Houston.
Well, they need Jose Abreu's been a disappointment. So they do.
Yeah, I mean, he's been hitting. I mean, again, he's been doing a lot better. So I'm just saying that I don't want to tear the guy down, but he's doing a lot better in the second half.
But Goldschmidt, I honestly could see him to the Orioles. Who's their first baseman right now? I'm trying to think off the top of my head.
Uncle Ted would know it. I'm trying to think too. God, last year it was Mancini. This year it is. Did they sign somebody? It's a rookie. I can't remember. I'll look that up. But meanwhile, Goldschmidt's 35.
Ryan O'Hearn.
Ryan O'Hearn is hurt. I don't know who.
Ryan Mountcastle.
Mountcastle plays first two, correct. But O'Hearn's having a good year. I think Goldschmidt will go to Houston. I see that happening.
Uncle Ted thinks thinks the Yankees are going to swing for both Arenado and Goldie.
These are huge predictions. Now, the rumor now is Cody Bellinger, who's a Cub right now, 1 year contract, so he's gone anyway.
Yeah, Bellinger and what's his face, the pitcher Stroman are the two. I think are the most likely to leave the Cubs. Yeah,
I think Stroman's going to be a Dodger. You brought it up. I say LA Dodger for Stroman. I just see him I don't know. I had a vision that it's going to be an LA Dodger uniform, but who knows if I'm right or not. But I think the Cubs, listen to me, Bellinger, I see him as a Toronto Blue Jay. That's where I think he's going.
Okay, I could see that. I could see him as a Yankee Bellinger, honestly.
I can see him good strips too.
I could see Stroman going to the Orioles. I think you're going to see Giolito and or Stroman go to the Orioles just because the Orioles have the best record in baseball right now with a starter's ERA north of 4.5. Like it's not sustainable in the playoffs to win if you don't have the starting pitching. So that's why I think they swing the fences for Ohtani, because then you get both, right?
Yeah.
And then you add somebody like a Marcus Stroman. I think.
Like it. Now, let me give you the biggest lock, Casey. Who do you think is the biggest lock to be traded? I'll give you a clue. He plays in the nation's capital.
Candyman,
Jameer. He's for sure being traded. There's no way he's not. You can go to Vegas right now, take your mortgage and everything else you have and put it on this, because he's gone. He's 29 years old. He's going to be out of Washington, D.C. He'll go to a contender. Which contender is he going to, Casey?
I could see him going to the Yankees because they need a third baseman.
Josh Donaldson's out for the year, right?
I could see him going to the Dodgers, who need a third baseman in some respect because Vargas is hurt. I mean, Vargas got sent down. They've had a bunch of issues there. Uncle Ted thinks Miami. I could see Miami.
Miami's a good one. I like that.
They are in the playoff hunt, and a switch hitter like that, and to help that lineup would be nice to see. So, those are my most likely.
I like it. I like it. And even like you said before, maybe Milwaukee, they need a third. They need some.
They need offense.
They need some offense. Salvador Perez. I think he's the captain of the. First of all, he's the captain of the team, so they're trading the captain away. Okay. I was thinking maybe the Yankees, just because one of your catchers is on the DL.
Yeah.
And
Jose Trevino went out for the year.
But there's a lot of teams that have catchers that are not the same class as Perez.
No, almost any other than the Dodgers, almost all and the Orioles, like they all could use a catcher upgrade, And
the Dodgers have Will Smith. He'll
right. Adley Rutschman but I could see Salvador Perez has a team-friendly deal in some ways because he's in a small market team. So maybe somebody like the Rays would swing for a Salvador Perez.
That's a good one. I like that.
But I could see him going to Miami. Oh, look at that. Uncle Ted agrees with that one too. Sal Perez to Miami.
I can see that happening too. Miami,
because they're going to bring Yuri Perez back up here soon. They were just putting him down there to manage his innings.
Stupidity.
And now, could you imagine a veteran presence like Perez to help all these young, exciting kids? What about your Cincinnati Reds?
I'm getting there. Jonathan India. I said this 3 weeks ago.
But could you see Sal Perez going to the Reds?
I like Stevenson, but yes, I would put Stevenson at first, and I would put Perez at catcher. Any team would take Perez.
Yeah.
He can DH and he can play catcher. It's two positions that people need.
And with that young staff you guys have, you'll have Lodolo and Hunter Green coming back, Ashcraft and Abbott. Like they're all young guys. Having a veteran backstop like Sal Perez, who's won a World Series, and so
I would love to do it, but again, the Reds are just not aggressive like I am. I don't know why they don't pull it, but I am going to go to Dodger Stadium on Friday for batting practice and watch the Reds with BP. I got on the field, which is unbelievable, which I'm excited about. So I get to meet Ellie De La Cruz. I'll try to get him on the show, obviously, but I'm excited for that. That's on Friday. But Indy to Boston for Paxton. Oh, I would love it. If that could happen, that would be unbelievable. I was thinking India to the White Sox for Lucas Giolito, but that's me. But yes, I love Paxton. He's a great year. Any of those are.
Yeah, my concern with him is the same as it is with like Jacob deGrom. Is at any moment he could sneeze wrong and be out for 3 months with an oblique injury. And so
listen, I agree, but I think India is going to be gone. Another guy I think
I like your India to Chicago better for Giolito.
I think Tim Anderson's going to be traded out of the White Sox. I'm not quite sure where he'll go.
Yeah,
but
I don't know who needs a shortstop.
They can even put him at second base if they need to. And then Dylan Carlson of the Cardinals, I think he's an outfielder. He's 24 years old. I think he'll be moved.
Well, you didn't mention Jordan Montgomery and Jack Flaherty when you were talking about.
I see Jordan Montgomery back where he was a couple years ago.
Yankees.
Yeah, I see him back there.
Jordan Hicks, do you think the Yankees would try to get him because their bullpen's been atrocious?
I think Jordan Hicks could go to a number of teams.
Oh yeah, every team will trade for a bullpen arm.
I mean, I think Jordan Hicks is one of these guys that's going to be one of these. They'll be asking a lot, but they'll get it. This guy throws over 100 miles an hour, and he can close games. This guy's the real deal. I mean, Tampa Bay's like since like July they're like 4-14. I read or something horrible record in July. I mean, they really fallen off the cliff.
Baltimore just crushed them. That was awesome.
Another guy that could be gone is CJ Cron of Colorado. I feel
I always worry about the Colorado splits where the OPS is like 200 points higher at home than away.
He's averaged 21 home runs a year over the last 6 seasons and has a lifetime of 814 OPS against Southpaw. I mean, I know he's 33, but you know what?
Uncle Ted, I like that one. I like James Paxton to the Rays. I think that would be good too.
That'd be good too.
Because they lost Rasmussen and who's the other guy? You know what'll be interesting to see? The Mets obviously can't offload Scherzer and Verlander. I mean, they can try, and maybe some team will take on that contract for a 42-year-old pitcher. But their bullpen is not bad. You have David Robertson, who would immediately become maybe the top reliever on the market. You have Adam Ottavino. Lefty Brooks Raley is pitching well. That's where they could get rid of some guys. You have Paul Sewald in Seattle, who I think could be traded. The bullpen arms are going to be the interesting ones. Bednar in Pittsburgh.
I think Bednar is going to be gone. I think Sewald could be traded too. You're 100% right. We'll see a lot of movement. I also think the Rockies will probably clear house a little bit with some of their hitters.
Yeah, Randall Grichuk will be gone.
I don't know if anybody even wants Paul DeJong for the Cardinals. He could be gone.
Patrick Flaherty is going to be interesting. I think you could.
Patrick Wisdom of the Cubs could be gone.
For these pure hitters, they're not bad picks.
Yeah. But yeah, Jack Flaherty is a good one. Again, LA kid, born and raised in Los Angeles, went to high school right down the street from me. Wouldn't be surprised if he's a Dodger. I can see him wearing Dodger do. But the Dodgers have like 3 rookies in the rotation.
Maybe the Dodgers will trade for Flaherty and Giolito and reunite them in
like the high school days. It's possible. Their pitching staff, they're not going to win with 3 starting rookies.
And Urias has been terrible.
CRA's over 5, Casey Scheinfeld.
I own him in one of our fantasy leagues, and he's killing me.
I don't know what's wrong with him this season. I think I don't know. I had him down as a top 10 starter in the National Leagues to start the season, and now he's not even in the top 50. Just horrible. Let's talk about what's going on in baseball right now. Let's talk about waiver wire pickups. We're not going to go each position. I'm pretty sure all you guys have your teams are set. I'm pretty sure you guys are just getting ready for playoffs. And that's why we're talking about trades, because this will affect your team a lot, especially in the reliever department. Casey, tell me some of the guys I should pick up this week.
A guy I've mentioned before as a bat is Tristan Casas in Boston. The guy's been just unconscious with the bat in the last couple weeks. 5 home runs, 9 RBIs, a 462 average. This is a guy who was a top flight prospect, came in, got hurt, didn't really live up, is now kind of showing everything he can do. Edouard Julien, I talked about him as a prospect preseason, and again in the early part of the season, the second baseman for Minnesota. I called him, I think, the French emperor of walks because his on-base percentage is crazy. He's batting .452 with 2 home runs and a stolen base in the last couple weeks. Those guys are probably the 2 biggest bats for me. I also like Andrew Benintendi. This guy's consistent. He's not going to be a league winner type of guy. He's somebody who could be traded, by the way, a left-handed outfield bat who hits for average and gets on base. And if you need speed, Jankowski is still out there. The guy is just hitting over 300 and stealing bags every day. Sal Frelick, who we've talked about before as a prospect, was called up last week. All he's done since he's gotten called up is bat .556. with a home run and 3
I
RBIs.
saw his home run. I saw his home run last night against the Reds. I mean, it tied the game, and that was like out of the ball. That was a great hit. Not as big as Ellie De La Cruz's yesterday, but I like that kid. His parents were at the game. I like that guy a lot.
And then Alex Kirilloff, the first baseman outfielder for Minnesota, who was a stud power hitter in the minors and was just awesome. Came up, had some wrist issues. He's doing well right now. Maybe
really well. What's he hitting the past 2 weeks?
Past 2 weeks, 317, 4 home runs, 14 RBIs. Like, he's just crushing it. On the pitching side, former Cincinnati Red and your boy Michael Lorenzen is pitching really well in Detroit right now.
All-star Michael Lorenzen, and people were questioning about him being an all-star, and he's having a great month of July. Tell us his stats, Casey.
Well, let's go with the last 30 days then to see what his.
We could go 2 weeks.
Last 2 weeks, 0 ERA, 10 Ks, 0.8 WHIP. Last 30 days, he's got a 2.2 ERA with a 1.05 WHIP and 22 Ks. He's doing just fine. Another guy who I really like is Logan Allen in Cleveland. He seems to have figured it out a bit recently. Kenta Maeda is still pitching really well in Minnesota.
Oh, yeah, he pitched last night. He looked great.
JP France in Houston continues to pitch well. In the relief market, it's pretty thin. Joel Payamps in Milwaukee, I think, is an add in case Devin Williams gets dealt. Trevor May in Oakland is getting saves in case he stays there. If he gets dealt, his value takes a hit. The waiver wire is pretty kind of small right now. You're taking stabs on players who can help you for a while. There's not a lot of surefire things in the prospect ranks. I still think Jonathan Aranda, there's no reason he shouldn't be up for the Rays. You know, in the minors this year, 17 home runs, 51 walks to 65 strikeouts, over 1,000 OPS, a 340 batting average. When he was up for Josh Lowe for 10 days between Josh Lowe and Yandy Diaz, he batted every day and he hit. He's got 10 home runs in the last 31 games. So he would be my top minor league ad. Matt Mervis of the Cubs always seems to be, I worry he's a quad A player. You know, those guys who can mash minor league pitching, but never deliver on the majors, but he's mashing right now. And then Heston Kjerstad, the kid I mentioned earlier as the Orioles stud this year in the minors, 16 home runs, a 316 average. Again, he's over his myocarditis. He had a heart issue that kind of held him back after he was drafted. He could be traded or he could be promoted depending on who else is traded. Those are the guys in the minors I'd be looking at.
Yeah, I think Baltimore, their minor league system is probably one of the best.
It's rated number one by.
I mean, I would say number one. I mean, they're my team to be in the World Series in the American League. I think
isn't that crazy?
Good.
I think if they add,
I was just going to say that
starting pitcher or two.
I think two starting pitchers like a Marcus Stroman, somebody in that caliber, that's a 2 or 3.
Because when you're facing a Garrett Cole or a Kevin Gossman or a, pick a starter on Houston when they're healthy, like, you need to be deeper in your rotation because you can't count on it. That's the Yankees' flaw every year, right?
They have Kramer's been pitching well. Kramer has been a great year. But again, Grayson Rodriguez has been disappointing. I believe Gibson for them has been okay.
He's just an innings eater. Like, that's his job.
It's just they really need that. They really need another starter. You're 100% right.
And if they do that, if they could add
Wells is okay.
Like, if they could add a Giolito, a Flaherty, a Dylan Cease, if Chicago's willing to part with them, if they swing for the fences and get Ohtani, like, then you're right. I will almost become an Orioles fan. They'd be so much fun to watch at that point. But
do you see what Lance Lynn for the White Sox? In his contract, there's 10 teams that he won't be traded for. He's like a list. I mean, because he's so fat and he's so out of shape that he has 10 teams that he will not play for, which drives me nuts. I mean, he should play for any team that's going to pay that super salary, which he does not deserve. I mean, it's unbelievable that this guy has a list of teams that he would not play for. I would tell him to go jump in the lake, but that's me.
Yeah. I think those no trade clauses, the partial no trade clauses are crazy. You're either willing to get traded or you're not. Like,
I agree. And I think if you get paid a lot of money and if the team wants to trade you, it's part of baseball.
Now, let's be honest. I don't want to play in Minnesota in the end of October or November when it's 28 degrees. I could imagine.
If I'm making $20 million, I'll put the long johns on. Yes, I would be out there playing.
But I mean, I understand, like, you should have some control over where you work. But
I can argue with you. I don't agree. Uncle Ted does not agree with you either. I can feel it. I can feel it. I can feel it. But you know what? It doesn't matter what I think. It's these players get what they want. I mean, their contracts.
Yeah, they have all the power.
The better they are, the more leverage they have. I mean,
but I think Grayson Rodriguez can surprise. I think if he still has a month and a half to get it together, and he throws. I mean, he's got the stuff, right? And starters can be effective from the beginning if he can reharness his control. I don't think he's an ace for them, but he could be a solid third starter if they could get, like I said, a Dylan Cease, a Lucas Giolito, a Flaherty, Ohtani. I don't think Blake Snell's going to go anyplace. The guy's been the best pitcher in baseball for the last 2 months or month and a half with like a 0.7 something ERA.
Can I disagree with you right there?
Yeah, sure.
Blake Snell, you heard it from me first, Ross the boss. Back to, drum roll please, Casey.
Tampa Bay, huh?
Tampa Bay. I see him exactly. Back in Tampa Bay. I can see that happening.
Do you think they'll let him pitch the 7th inning this time?
No, this is what they do with him. I don't know if it's him or if it's the team. I think it's him. I think at the 5th inning, he tells the coach, "I'm tired," and he comes out of the game. It happens every game.
Uncle Ted says, this late in fantasy baseball, league average pitching wins. You're right. In fantasy baseball, you're absolutely right. At this point, in rotisserie style, your stats are pretty much established. You're not going to move the needle too much. We were talking for real baseball, the trade deadline. I guess we're not doing as much a fantasy show right now, and I guess we should apologize for that. But you're right, Ted. In fantasy, at this point of the season, you've accumulated so many innings in a rotisserie league. You're not going to move the needle in any of the
that's why we're not like sitting here saying, guys, you should pick up.
You're chasing pretty much wins, strikeouts, and saves at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I would say saves the only one of the categories that you can kind of chase and get more. But I think
just like your batting average on the offensive side is pretty much set.
Yeah, I mean, exactly, and even home runs is almost set too, unless you have Aaron Judge like I do and he screwed you over, but no big deal.
Right. Or Bryce Harper, who has like 5 on the year.
5 home runs or 4 home runs, whatever he has. Yeah. But he is hitting 290, right?
Yeah. Oh, he's right now he's a really good John Olerud.
With the helmet when he plays
he plays first base, right.
He wears the helmet, right? Okay, see, we've been talking about baseball. I'm excited that we're getting into football. The teams are actually all showing up to training camp this week. Tomorrow is the last day when they all show up. It's going to be a great football season. I've been doing best ball leagues. I've been studying fantasy football like crazy. I hope you guys follow us at Fantasy Football. We're going to start our shows very soon. And, it's going to be a great season for fantasy because there's so much out there this year. And there's so many good rookies coming up. And there's so many surprise players. And there's so many teams that have always been horrible that are going to be good this year. I can't wait to talk about it. It's going to be incredible, Casey. And we are excited for football, but we're almost done with baseball. If you guys have any questions, guys can always hit us up, email us. You know where to find us. And Casey,
apparently Ted's a Dallas man. He says Tony Pollard is the man.
Pollard, you know what?
He could be a top 5 running back easily this year. I don't doubt that at all.
Pollard's going to have a huge year. I think anybody who plays running back for Dallas is going to be money.
Yeah, the problem for Pollard is going to be when Jerry Jones gives in and brings Zeke Elliott back on a 1-year deal, like the second to last day of training camp, and then insists he's the goal line back, and Pollard gets vultured out of touchdowns.
And I did love how Dak Prescott said he's going to have less than 10 interceptions for the whole season. He's going to have that for the first half of the season, hold over 10 interceptions. What's he talking about? I mean, this crazy stuff.
Although I own CeeDee Lamb, so I hope in our Dynasty League, so I hope he finds CeeDee Lamb quite a lot.
We'll see what happens. It should be a fun season. I'm Ross the Boss. That's Flat to the Bone. We'll see you guys next week, but get ready for football season. Thanks for watching.